In this masterclass, you're going to learn how the CAGED chord system can show you every chord and also every arpeggio, not the same thing. Not only will you learn how to practice them all up and down the guitar neck, you're going to learn how they fit into music, from bass to rhythm to solos, riffs, chord enhancements, everything. Take your time. It's a long class. It is free. Thank you so much for being here. Let's begin. All right, welcome back to a very special episode of Stichmethod Guitar. Before we even begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you can get notified of any more masterclasses that come out. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy this one. I want to talk to you really quickly before we begin about why I'm doing a really long free masterclass on YouTube. Really quickly, 10, 15 years ago, I was a very frustrated guitar player. I used to go to a lot of concerts and wonder how all these professionals did it. And just one day, out of the blue, I kind of had a grand epiphany about how it all worked, and I wanted to share it with as many people as possible. I started Stichmethod, and it has been such an amazing journey trying to help people educate themselves on the guitar, and I really want to pay it forward. I know what it's like to be a frustrated guitar player, and I know the kind of opinion you have of yourself if you're frustrated, if you can't figure it out, and you feel like, what's wrong, how come I can't figure this out? And I want you to feel good about yourself on this instrument and hopefully make your day better. And so I want to give you as much information as possible in a very simple package. And so my goal is to try and make you see a lot of things that maybe you haven't seen before, maybe put together a lot of things you've seen and put them together in the most simple manner possible. And so I want to keep on talking to you for a second. I don't personally believe in a linear guitar system. If there were a linear guitar system, we'd all have it and we'd be learning from it. But the problem is once you have a question, it's out the window. If you're doing a subscription-based thing where it's like a lesson plan, it's really hard if you have a question and it kind of stumps you from learning. And so I'm kind of a big picture kind of teacher where I try to give people pieces of the puzzle and they can kind of fill in the pieces as they get more and more knowledge. And so I just want to share this idea with you of how to see the guitar neck in a new, simple way. And so this whole masterclass is really about seeing this big picture. And yes, there are some complex things you have to think about in music. And it's just like anything else, like a car or a house or a human being. The more you zoom in on something, the more complex it gets. We get in our car and turn the key and the car starts. But, if you were to really look under the hood and stare at this thing, it is quite complex. The human body is such a complex piece of machinery. And, but we interact with other people and we just see their hair color and their eyes and their speech and their friendliness. And we don't really get into their DNA. And the reason I want to bring that up is because this masterclass is going to provide for you a bigger picture where you can handle all the information, where it's comfortable. And I do have to kind of get in and zoom in a little bit, but it should be worth it. All right, in this masterclass, we're going to learn why arpeggios are important, where they all are, and when and how to use them. That's the most biggest miss is, the information I'm providing right now is not proprietary. It's out there. There's a matrix on the guitar. It exists. I just want to show it to you in a clear pattern I believe in and show you when and how this stuff works. It is divided into two sections, and you probably saw by the thumbnail, we have this playbook, this kind of like football mentality, and I'm gonna kind of stick with it a little bit. You need to train and train and train, and you gotta do all the small maneuvers, the knee-high runs in the tires, every sort of calisthenic and exercise so that when you get into the game, everything becomes natural. This is no different. The two sections are, we're gonna be learning all the arpeggios, why they work, how to see them, and we're also going to practice your arpeggios, which is a huge miss. Me, you, everyone, the practice time of everything, I think, is where all of us benefit. And so I'm going to show you how to practice this stuff on your own. And then we're going to get into the second section, which is running the plays. We're going to look at all these different plays that you would come across in music and where the arpeggio mindset and the CAGED system will come into play. And so the whole idea is, first section is learning everything you need to know. about, what they are, where they are, and how to practice. The second section is going to be putting them into use, running the plays. Now, I will say this, there is a free, CAGED primer playlist on my channel, which is kind of like the prerequisite. It should be linked right up here and also linked below, and everything here is time-stamped. So if there's a subject you kind of already know or you want to look at really quickly, you can look at them in the description below, and also I believe the scroll bar will be marked. So I want to thank you so much for at least clicking on and seeing what this masterclass was about. I really hope you enjoy the journey, and let us begin. Chord tones are the heart and soul of music. Whatever you believe, I'm telling you right now, chord tones are what makes music. When you're listening to music, there's many levels that are happening. If you think of it from the bottom to the top, the bottom section is your rhythm, and then you have your rhythm section, which colors the drummer. And those colors are, belong to the bass player, maybe a rhythm guitarist, keyboard player, and they are giving you the chord tones. It is what the lead instrument sits on. And so we need to study chord tones. We need to be able to see them on our guitar neck. We need to just crush them. When we're soloing and improvising, we want to have them be second nature. And so we are going to start by learning 3 out of 3 each of each CAGED chord system. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to learn first the C shapes, C major, C minor, and C seventh. Then we're going to do A major, A minor, A7, G major, G minor, G7, and so on. All right, the C-shaped arpeggio. Now, if you've seen the CAGED primer playlist, video number 1 goes over the major chord shapes. This is our C shape. Right now, I'm playing it with a bar on the 5th fret, and my pinky is on the 8th fret. What's very important to know is where the root notes are. The root notes are where your pinky is and where your middle finger is. These notes are actually the same notes. This is an F, and this is an F. So because these guys are Fs, this is an F major chord. If I needed a G chord, I would just kind of find a G, which is here on the 10th fret and here on the 8th fret, and I have a G chord. Now, the root notes are on the A string and B string, and you want to know how to navigate to find this. So you can see by the graphic, if you can find the note on the B string or if you can find it on the A string, you put the appropriate finger on. For instance, if I need an A chord, here's my A, and here's an A here automatically. These are the same note. There is an A chord. So being able to find whatever arpeggio you want is something you want to practice and you want to know. Again, the graphic should help, and I just want to say that the graphic has A sharps and B flats. Those are known as enharmonic notes. They're both the same. So just in case you're looking, F sharp and G flat are the same chord, but just in case somebody calls it a G flat, you know how to find it. And so for instance, if I need an E flat chord, here's an E flat on the B string, and then here's here's an E flat on the A string. All right, enough about that. The C-shaped chord. First thing you want to do is practice the chord arpeggio. Well, what do I mean by that? Or the physical chord arpeggio. It's really interesting stuff. All right, so if you check this out, the physical chord that you can play is this here. Now, some of you might not be able to put that pinky down, and it is totally fine as long as you can see it. And you want to practice playing just those notes. This we're going to refer to as the physical chord arpeggios. All right. You can see it's 8, 7, 5, 6, 5. All right. And so you want to get used to that. You want to move it around and also just play the physical chord tones. If I move my pinky to the 10th fret, this is a G, and so I have a G major arpeggio. We're going to learn about these intervals in a couple seconds, but you want to be able to play the sequence. This is a D. Now, just to explain, these are the physical chord tones, but we're going to have what we call extended chord tones, which are arpeggios or notes of the chord in this area that our hand can't play. They still exist, and they're viable notes for improvisation, but we can't play them. And so a new chart is going to come up, and it's going to show you the real pattern that exists of all the notes or all of the arpeggios or chord tones, which we'll talk about in a couple seconds. And it looks like this. Now, we're going to move a little bit slowly on our first chord. All right, we are. But this is a C-shaped chord, and we played the C-shaped physical chord tones, and we played the C-shaped all chord tones. Now, this is where we have to zoom in for a second, and might get a little complex, but you want to end up zooming out. We just want to see why these shapes exist. These chord shapes are built upon what we call triads, which are a 1, 3, and 5 of a major scale. And any 1, 3, and 5 combination produces a major triad, and here, when you're playing this, this is just a series of 1s, 3s, and 5s. And if you look at the diagram, you can see it's 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Now, if you want to see why this works, I'm going to show you very briefly. You can fast forward this. I don't want to make your head spin, but I want to show you something. When you have a root note, the 3 is always next door, 1 fret back. 1, 3. All right? If you look, here's a 1, here's the 3. Now, 1, 3, 5. This is not the best example to use, but whenever you have a 1, the 5 is always on the thicker string right next door, but because this B, G string split, which sucks, sorry, it just does, you have to pull this one back. So if this is a 1, this is a 5. And so, and I'll explain some more stuff, but you can see it here. Here is my root. And here, one string over, always is your 5. 1, 5. So we have 5, 1, 3, 1, 5, sorry, really? 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. You know, trying to speak and teach and play at the same time can be a little confusing. And so this is a 3 here, you have the same note here, this is the 3. So the whole arpeggio, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, and then is the 5 up here. This is the extension. And now let's zoom back out. We know that these are all 1s, 3s, and 5s. And I'm being completely honest, all right? We have a lot to do, and we're going to go nice and slow. We're going to study every arpeggio so you can practice it. I don't focus so much on which note or which interval is the interval I want when I'm soloing. I trust in the shape. Now, I'm not saying ignore it. You want to learn it, but I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, I have to learn all the 1s, 3s, and 5s right now. That's not what it's about. You want to learn that these shapes come from the fact that these are all 1s, 3s, and 5s, and it all depends on where we start our root note. So this was our C major arpeggio. The chord arpeggio, the physical chord arpeggio, and all, or the extended arpeggio. So you want to study this one. And you want to sit in front of a TV and do that. Now, with that being said, we're going to move right to a C minor shape chord. An interesting fact about all C chords, or all C shape bar chords, is that the root notes are always on the A and the B string. So I was just playing an F major chord, and now if you look at the chart, I'm going to play an F minor chord. Okay, now this is a brutal shape. A lot of people can't stretch their pinky up, and that is fine. As long as you can see these arpeggios, you are fine. So you can play, if you look, it's 8, 6, 5, 6. That's the physical C minor shape chord tone. Right, so if I want an F minor chord, I find an F on the A string. I can play those physical chord tone arpeggios. Now I'm going to show you the extended. Now this one is a little brutal. It's really cool. I'm going to start on the root note here. Graphics should be popping up and you can follow along. And so we have the root, the minor third, 5, 1, minor third here, and then 5. Awesome. This whole thing. Sorry. All right, and now take a look at that 4th fret. You can always play the 4th fret down here and go 4, 8, 8. It's brutal. 4, 8, 8, 6, 5, 6, 4, 8. Now, again, this is the minor chord shape. If I need a G minor, well, I can find a G on the A string, and here's the same C minor shape chord. Here's the chord, the physical chord tone arpeggio. Right, and here's the extended. Right, and you can sit and practice going forward, right, and backwards. Ooh. And I'm going to show you how to practice these things. I just want, oh sorry, I should keep on going. And maybe come back to the root note. All right, and I'll do one more in the minor. Here's an A minor chord. All right, full arpeggio. And then you can strum. And And so you want to move that chord around and practice. Again, I'm going to show you how to really practice this stuff. Just want to introduce you to all the arpeggio shapes. Now, the third C shape that you want to study is the C7 chord shape and the C7 arpeggio. And this is where we split a little bit. And hopefully you're doing okay. Again, you can fast forward through all this stuff, but if you want to learn this stuff, take your time. Just take your time. All right, so a C7 chord looks like this. I'm going to play off the F, okay? C7 chord shape. And it looks and feels like a C7 down here. And the root note is where your ring finger is on the A string and where your first finger is on the B string. And this is an F7. Very simple. Now, the chord shapes themselves, I think, are easier to memorize than the actual arpeggio. The arpeggio, when you get into seventh chords, which have 4 notes, all of a sudden that dotted map starts to light up, and it's like, oh, do I have to memorize that? And the answer is actually no. If you just know your major arpeggio, you got this. Let me show you. Okay, so here's an F7 chord. Look at that root note. If you play a regular C-shaped F chord, and you go through its regular major arpeggio, and you know what makes a 7th chord is a major chord with a flat 7th, and we'll talk about that. A flat 7th is just 2 frets, boop, boop, down from a 1. So if you know where your root notes are, which are the 1s, you can derive your 7th chord arpeggio in real time, and as you practice this, all of a sudden your fingers are going to know your 7th chord arpeggio. So let me show you what I mean. Well, let's do the full arpeggio. It's going to be 5, 8, and then we're going to go right to here. This is the root note. But I just told you there's a flat 7, 2 frets down. So we have, and then this is the 1, 3, 5, 1. And it's like, oh wait, 2 frets down. Do we do that? Do we go? No. What you want to do is realize when you run into these scenarios of the 7th chords and the flat 7's out of place, just find your 5 and add 3 frets. There it is there. Same note. All right, so we have, again, you want to do this in real time. Take your time. Here's your 7th chord arpeggio. And all the stuff we're going to use in solos and riffs and rhythm guitar, all the stuff. And so, check us out. Here we go. We got the 3, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, the 3, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, the 3, and the 5. Oh, sorry, really? All right. And so, I always found it fun that when you're trying to find the 7th chord arpeggio, that instead of trying to memorize the dots, just go to the major and find where that flat 7 fits in, which is always 2 frets behind the 1. All right, so this completes our C-shaped chords that we need to know. The C major, the C minor shape, and the C7 shape. All of them movable, all of them you can sit here. Here's an A7, here's an an E minor chord, excuse me. Here's a D major chord. All of them were some sort of C shape. Sit and practice those and get those under your fingertips if you don't have them already. And again, this is a masterclass that will always be here on YouTube, so feel free to take your time. This ain't going anywhere. Just, see where you left off and come back tomorrow. All right, now we're going to move to the A-shaped chords. All right, we just did the C-shaped chords, and now we're going to learn 3 A-shaped arpeggios. The A major, the A minor, and the A7. All of this is really worthwhile. So let's just start with an A-shaped chord. Again, this stuff is the knowledge you need to know. That's located, it's a prerequisite on my CAGED primer playlist, but let's start here. This is an A-shaped chord. Its root note is where your first finger is on the A string and where your ring finger is on the G string. So if you can find any note on this A string, you can play an A-shaped chord. And so the root note is here. This right here is the 5th, 1, 5. Here's the octave, the 1. The major third is here. 1, 5, 1, 3. There's that triad, but we have it built into our CAGED chord. And so the physical chord tone you want to practice is very simple. It's just and like that. I mean, doesn't get any easier. 7, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 7. All right, so now let's talk about the extended arpeggios. The A shape and the E shape and the D shape that we're going to do have a little bit of an exception to the rule, and you want to practice these, and the more you do, the better you're going to get. So let's take a look here. Well, the full arpeggio, in this case, when you're practicing, you're going to have an ascending shape and a descending shape. So let's talk about the ascending shape first. All right, look at this graphic. You're going to have the 5, then the root, and then 4 frets up, the major third. Okay, so you're on 7 and you go to 11. So on the excuse me, I said 5 as in the interval. So you have the 5th, the root, then you have the major third, and then 5, 5, sorry, 5, 1, major third, 5. So here's that ascending shape. Descending is a little bit different, but I'm going to do it one more time. Ooh, really? Now backwards, check us out. 3, 5, 1, 5, and down here, 3, 1, 5. So ascending, descending. Now you can watch the fingers I'm using. So you can see, now you don't have to always play the ascending when you're ascending and the descending when you're descending. You want to know both options. That little movable major third is going to make you be able to kind of hit it if you're flowing in a solo and all of a sudden you say, oh, here it's right here, cool, instead of being like, oh, I have to backtrack a little. The more you practice this, the more it's just going to pop out of your playing. Let's keep going. We're going to go to the A minor shape chord now. All right, so the A minor shape chord is right here. Its root notes again are on the A and on the G string. This would be a C minor, this would be a D minor, this would be an E minor chord, but it's the A minor shape. So the physical arpeggio, the intervals, 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 1. Minor chords have a flat 3. Should have mentioned that in the C shape, but 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 1. And so this is the physical chord shape. Play forward and backwards. Now let's look at the entire extended arpeggio. You have your 5, your 1, your minor third. Now you have your 5, your 1, your minor third, and your 5. Very simple. Forward and backwards. These are going to come in handy when we're writing our riffs, when we're soloing, when we're creating. You'll see it all. So knowing these things and getting them underneath your fingertips is really important. So practice moving the chord around. If you're new to this channel, I screw up in every video, so just let you every video. I don't know why, just do. All right, so you want to move that around, find the root notes, say the chord name to yourself, and find the extended arpeggio. Our last chord is our A7 chord. It looks like this. It's barring here. This is an A7 shaped chord. It's on the E, so this is an E7 chord. This would be a D7 chord. This would be a C7. What they all have in common is that I'm playing them with the A7 shaped chord. And so here we have the intervals 1, 5, flat 7, 3, and 5. And if you want to find the chord arpeggios from this, again, you don't have to like get that mental map down. You just want to see the major arpeggios and do that little mathematics where you know, okay, a 7th chord is a major chord with a flat 7. Okay, so if we can find the major arpeggio, add that flat 7, we're fine. And so we start off with a 5 here. Here's that major arpeggio. Right, and if we look, we start on the interval 5. Okay, well here's the 1. Here's the root note. I don't want to come out of position. And like I said, in the C shape, the 7th is always 3 frets up from a 5. So anytime you have a root note here, boom, there's a 5 right on the thicker string right next door. If this is a 1, this is a 5, which means 3 frets up. There's your flat 7. Okay, so we have 5, flat 7, 1, major third, 5. Well, here's a 1 here. Well, guess what? There's a flat 7 here. And then 1, 3, 5. 5, flat 7, 1, major third, 5, flat 7, 1, 5, sorry, major third, don't listen to me, major third, 5. And you want to practice that backwards. There's that descending third. You know, playing it like that with that 7th is hard. Let's see. A little bit easier like that, but nonetheless, you can see these arpeggios. So ascending, I guess, would be descending, time in seeing it. Again, you know, right now you're probably like, oh my gosh, but you want to sit and practice this. The more you do, it's going to pop out in your playing. And so we did the C shape, we did the A shape. We're going to do the same for the G shape, the E shapes, and the D shapes. These are all of the ingredients, the calisthenics, the drills, the stuff you need to know in order to get to the playbook. And again, if you know this stuff, go right to the timestamp that interests you. Don't skip ahead if you're bored, because I always tell my students you can't get bored if you can't do it. If you can do it, great, right? You can get bored if you can do it. But if you can't do it, keep working at it. See you on the G side. All right, the G-shaped chords that you need to know. G major, G minor, and G7. Let's get to it. The G shape, if you've seen it, hopefully you have, has, when you're playing the CAGED system, has two sides, a thin side and a thick side. Only because playing the whole thing like this is brutal. I've seen a couple of guitar players play this live, and it blew my mind that they had the dexterity and speed to do this, but you can divide it up into a thick arpeggio, or a thick chord, or thin side. And so we're going to study the arpeggios, the physical arpeggios. Now when we do that, really we get a lot of the arpeggios of the actual chord. And so if you look at the chart here, the thick side looks like this. And then the thin side looks like this. Or, I forgot to mention that the root notes of this chord shape are on the E string and on the G string. And I'm on the 10th fret here with my pinky, which makes this a D chord. Sorry, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. And so, the arpeggio, or these two notes are in there, that's actually the physical and extended chord tones. Like that, all right? And so easy to practice. That's a really easy arpeggio to master. And so you want to sit, that's a D chord. This is a C chord, here's a C. This is an A chord. And come backwards. Right? And just practice those all over the guitar neck, saying to yourself the names of the chords as you go. Let's get to a little bit of a harder one, the G minor shape. Now, the G minor shape chord is really interesting. Again, has two sides, a thick and a thin. And, you know, if you know that the difference between a major chord and a minor chord is just that minor third, you can kind of see what's happening. It's still kind of a weird arpeggio, but nonetheless, let's take that D major, let's make it a D minor. And here is the thick side, which is 10, 8, 7, 7. And then the thin side, keep your finger on that D string and you bar the pinky 10th fret. So it's 7, 10, 10, 10. Or this. All right, the full arpeggio is really, it's not that hard, right? So it's 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. It's still pretty comfortable. There's your minor arpeggio. Again, some of these are going to be your favorites. Some of them you're never going to touch until they really like cure themselves. But nonetheless, being able to play these. Here's an E minor. This is the root note here. All right, here's an A minor. And you just want to kind of move them around and get it. And so, you know, do the major, do the minor. The major one is like really easy. And once you get the minor down, which is, that's the hardest minor we've done so far, I think. It's just there. But nonetheless, you want to know it. And after that, we're going to get to the 7th chord shape. So here's the 7th chord shape. The 7th chord shape for G7 is actually a really easy shape to kind of see and play. But the arpeggio itself, you know, you have to derive it from that major arpeggio. So if I'm playing a D chord, G shape, all I gotta do is just take this pinky and move the note 2 frets down, and this is actually considered a G7 shaped chord in the CAGED chord system. Its root note is imaginary here on the E string still. All G-shaped chords have the root note on the E string where that pinky would be, but here we're playing like the root's not on top. It's here on the G string. So this is your G7 shape. And so if I want an E7, well, you can imagine the G shape, put that pinky on the E and then do this, or you can see your E note on the G string. If I want an A7, you can play an A major chord, right, and then just play the 7th shape. So let's find that arpeggio together. Remember, use the major arpeggio. Wherever you see a 1, just flat the 7. If the flat 7 pulls you out of position, know the 5 is right next door. Just add 3 frets to the 5. Again, this stuff is complex. I get it. It's complex, but it's going to get much easier. These are the ingredients. We're going to zoom out. The more you know these arpeggios, the better your playing is going to get. So let's keep going. All right, so let's take a look at that 7th chord arpeggio. All right, so we start off with a 1 right here. We're playing a D chord. All right, so now we're going to play a D7 arpeggio. Well, here's a 1. Okay, well, 2 frets back. There's that flat 7. So we have flat 7, 1. Here's your 3, your 5, your 1. You don't want to pull it back, so I guess there's my flat 7. Oh, really? Okay, then 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And so this is like mental entertainment to see if you can do it. And just realize that the major arpeggio is always going to be there, and that flat 7 is always going to be 2 frets behind the 1 or 3 frets up from the 5 if you need it. So that was your G shape major, G shape minor, and G shape 7th chord. And you want to move that stuff around, and you just want to sit, you want to turn on the TV, maybe watch that 70s show. I've been watching it lately, and just sit and practice your C, your A, and your G arpeggios, because here comes the E arpeggio. All right, the E-shaped arpeggio, this one, like I said, when we're doing the A shape, has a little bit of a doozy side to it, so we're going to get right down to it. Here's the E-shaped chord. All right, and let's go over its intervals. It's 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. These are the physical chord tones. And you want to play them thin to thick, thick to thin. And now we're going to put on those extended chord tones. Now, again, I just want to make sure the extended chord tones, as I call them, are just the ones you can't physically play. Now, just like the other one, we're going to have an ascending form and a descending form. All right, so we have a root note. And the ascending form, you're going to go from 8 to 12, 4 frets up. That's the 1 major third. Then you have your 5, 1, major third, 5, 1, major third. And so really we're just kind of adding the 12th fret of each of these. And so this is a C chord, this is a C major arpeggio, full. Now the descending one, I find this a lot when I'm playing guitar or learning lots of lines, so you really want to know the descending and where that major third is, and I'll show you in a second. Especially Hendrix and blues players use this trick. And so for this one, you're going to put your middle finger on the root, and you're going to have 1, 3, 5. And you can switch if you want to ring finger, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. You can do that, or if you want to grab it with your ring finger, like this, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. You can do that too. That's actually more comfortable for me. Really, I just use my pinky. All right, there's the major. And so you want to practice this. You know, here's an A chord. All right, ascending. Sorry. And descending. Just know all these chord tones are viable for so many reasons. And so get that major shape down, move it around. Oh, I forgot to mention all the root notes. Sometimes, don't trust me. The root note for this chord is on the E string and the D string and the high E string. And so if you know the notes on the E string, here's a D chord, here's an A chord, here's a G chord, here's a C chord, here's a C sharp. So if I want a C sharp arpeggio, just run it. Know that everything you played is a piece of that chord. All right, let's get on to the minor. The E minor shape chord. We're going back to that C chord. Lift your middle finger. There is your minor, and that's 1, flat 3, and 5. And so let's just take look at the physical chord tones. 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3. Nope, I lied to you. Sorry, that was the extended. 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. Let's take a look at the extended. The cat's out of the bag. Here it is. 1, flat 3. Okay, 3 frets up. 1, flat 3, 5. 1, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3. There it is. All right, and so you can move that around. You can play an A minor chord, E minor shape, get the full arpeggio. The key to the full arpeggios is always seeing the physical chord tones inside of it, just adding the extra notes. And there it is. And you can do this everywhere. So sit and practice this, just name a chord, play it. We're gonna get to the E7 shape chord. The E7 shape chord looks like this. Here's your major, right? And then you pick up your ring finger. There's two ways to play it. You can play it like this, and if you want to use the pinky, you can put it on the 11th fret of the B string. And this is movable. You know, this is A, A7, there's an A7. So you have two voicings inside of this chord. And so we're going to use the major arpeggio of 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. We're just going to find those flat sevens and let's do it. All right, so we start on the 1 here, so I'm not even going to pull back. I'm just going to say, here's my 1, here's my flat, here's my 1, here's my major third, 5. Well, here's my 1. That's the flat 7 I want. All right? 1, 3, 5. Now there's a flat, here's the 1 here on the high E string, 2 frets down. We don't want to do that. 5. There's my flat 7, 3 frets up. Or if you do the other version, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3. You can always rewind this and look at the fingers I'm using. Whatever is comfortable for you to survive is important. And so that was a C7 arpeggio. And I'm not going to lie to you. I see this arpeggio a lot in a lot of guitar players' fingers. And so, you know, here's a G, here's a G7, G7 arpeggio. Oh, really? I should have done the ascending, but, you know, trying to teach everything. And so practice those, move those around. Now, this isn't the practice session. Again, this is just me showing you these arpeggios. We have, let's see, one more shape to do, and then we're going to get into how do we practice these things, okay? All right, so on to the D shape. All right, we made it to our last chord section, okay, the D-shaped chords, 3 of them, D major, D minor, and D7. Let's just do it. I hate the D chord shapes. I'm sorry, I don't like to use the word hate a lot. I don't hate them, actually. It's just they are the most uncomfortable for me. When I'm in the heat of the moment, I can do it. When I'm practicing them, I'm like, ugh, all right? And so here we go. The D-shaped chord, let's do this. Let's get it on the 7th fret. This is an A chord. Its root notes are on the D string, and the B string. And so, what do you want? This is a free class. All right, so the D string and the B string have the root note. This is an A. And so, to navigate on this stuff, on the D string, you want to know those notes, all right? And so we make our chord shape here. Now, on my first CAGED chord video in the CAGED Primer playlist, I talk about how I played a modified shape like this. The real chord shape looks like this. It's in the chart. All right, a lot of my favorite guitar players do this. I'm just a lazy guy, so I do this guy here. But nonetheless, let's look at the physical chord tones of the real chord shape. That's a 1, 5, 1, 3. If I played the chord correctly like this, 1, 5, 1, 3. All right, so this is the physical chord shape. And you want to move this stuff around. You know, here is a B chord. Again, I play it like this. Here is an F chord, G chord. And you want to be able to move these chords around and see them as best as possible. And so the physical chord tones are easy. The extended chord tones, ugh, all right, there is a doozy on this one as well. So let's just talk about the root note. We're going to start from here. There's my 1, excuse me. There's a major third behind it, so we can try putting our middle finger on the 1 and trying. That is really weird. If you put your first finger here, you can find that major third, just like the E shape and A shape, 4 frets up. And then you can play the 5, the 1, the major third. Now, that might be a stretch for somebody, so you can also do that descending shape. Oh, sorry. Major third. Then from here, 5, 3. So from thickest to thin, it's third interval, sorry, like the 3, the interval, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, backwards, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, And so practicing that one is a doozy. When I'm soloing and I have to like get through the D shape, I can do it because your eyes are seeing it, and when you're playing a scale or something, you can kind of hit those notes better. But framing it out, you want to know it. Take some time. You can do it. Let's go right to the D minor shape. The D minor shape chord, again, root notes on the D and B string, looks like this. If this was an A major, this is an A minor chord. Very simple. All right, and so you want to let's look at those physical chord tones. 1, 5, 1, flat 3. Just the chord tones that we play. 1, 5, 1, flat 3. All right, and the full chord tones, if you look really, really cool, starts on the flat 3 here. Same fret where your middle finger was. So it's flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3. Really comfortable, actually. And so that's the minor, and that was an A minor chord. You can do the same thing here. Let's see, you go up here. This is a D minor chord in the 12th fret. And you have flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, 3. Is that flat 3? Is that right? Let's say flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3. Okay? So that's the D minor arpeggio. Move that thing around, say the chord name to yourself, and really, practice those things and see them. Again, you're going to have your favorites, you're going to have your least favorites. Do you need to know them all right now? Absolutely not. This class is here forever, so you can always come back and just practice the ones you like. The last chord we're going to talk about before we move on is going to be the D7 shape chord. Now, if I played an A chord like this, the D7 shape is like this. It's the fret-wise is 7, 9, 8, 9. Interval-wise, it's 1, 5, flat 7, and 3. Love this voicing, I really do. Let's use the major arpeggio, and let's just put in the flat 7s. So we have, here's my 3. Okay, here's my 5. Well, here's my 1. Okay, I'm not going back, so 5 and 3 frets up is my flat 7. So we have 3, 5, flat 7, 1, major third, 5, well, there's a 1 here. Okay, flat 7's here. 1, 3. It's brutal, but there it is. Really the last note. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this one is hard. D shape is hard. D shape is hard. And I don't see a lot of it in improvisation because it's just so brutal, but practicing this is going to let you know, okay, I have 1 3s and 5s for major, 1 flat 3 and 5 for minor, and my 7th chord is just a major chord with a flat 7. And so you want to take your time in this section, the introduction to all the chords you need, the ingredients section, and you don't have to have them all down. You can pick 2 or 3 and you can totally survive this masterclass, but you want to practice this stuff. What comes next is how to practice. Now, speaking about how to practice, I have to mention this. You made it this far. My Patreon account is very different, I believe, from a lot of Patreon accounts out there. I release the information on YouTube, and then I, on Patreon, release practice sessions and bonus lessons. And this masterclass is no different. If you want a printable version of all the graphics that you see on the screen right now, plus a bonus 20 to 30 practice lessons on how to sync this stuff in from what we're doing now into the playbook and how to perform it, check out my Patreon account. The tier is called Bonus Sessions and Practice Sessions, and it's only $15. And if you want to support the channel, or if you're really intrigued, go check it out and do yourself a favor, or me a favor, however you want to think about it. But it's really, really good, I promise. All right, with that being said, and I crack my guitar, we're going to learn how to practice these arpeggios. Believe it or not, we are still in the first section of this masterclass. And in my opinion, this is the most important section. How to practice your arpeggios so they sink in to your brain, your fingertips, you feel comfortable with them, so that when we do get to the plays, you can just do them. And I want to explain to you again, I gave a quick speech about 45 minutes ago, right? That music is stacked from the bottom to the top. You have the drummer, and then you have the rhythm section. And everything you just learned is always going to be in whatever song you are doing. Every song has a chord progression no matter what. Even if all the music stops and there's just a melody, there's a chord progression that flows through the time of that. So when you learn how to not only play, but keep track of and think of the chords in real time, you're going to be an excellent, excellent guitar player. So this practice, or these practice sessions, are designed to show you how to think so that you can retain them, how to look, how to recall, and they should be quite effective. So the first thing we're going to do is, I hope that you saw my CAGED primer playlist. We're already deep into this masterclass, but I show you how the CAGED system connects, right? A C shape, no matter what, connects to an A shape, and an A shape, no matter what, connects to a G shape, and a G shape, no matter what, connects to an E shape, and so on to a D shape. And so those arpeggios connect as well. And now before we get to that, I've taught several online group lessons, and this one is, this part here is one of my favorite because you can see everybody's, go, ooh, okay, I got to do that. And yes, you got to do it too. The first thing you want to practice is actually just taking your major chord shapes or your minor chord shapes or your seventh chord shapes. And what you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to play a C chord. And what you're going to try and do is play the first shape, mentally see the second shape, jump over it, and land on the third shape. Now you're on the G shape. What comes next is your E shape, see it with your eyes, and then jump over and go to your D shape. And you also want to make sure that when you come down for the first time on each chord, that you touch the chord perfectly every time. Like you come down, you don't have to slide into it, or you don't miss it. You want to go, okay, C shape, and you want to say, okay, that connects here. Okay, there's my G shape. Right, there's my E shape. I can see it, and it connects here to my D shape. And you want to be able to go backwards from the from the D shape over that E shape to the G shape, and from the G shape over the A shape to the C shape. Some of you right now are either going, okay, this is cool, and some of you might be going, whoa. And I'm telling you, this is a free masterclass, right? This thing ain't going anywhere. This is yours to enjoy. Pause this video and try to do this. Make sure you can do it. Being able to visualize something while you're playing something else, that's the key. That's the key to being a really good guitar player. And so seeing the C shape, playing the A shape, playing that C shape, right? And seeing the A shape and being able to jump over it and get to the G shape, and playing the G shape and looking at that E shape and jumping over it is huge. This is how you start to separate two worlds of music, the chords that are happening and eventually your scale work. You're always going to have an eye on those chords, and this exercise is going to help you. And if you happen to start on an A shape of something, like here is a C chord A shaped, well, what comes next? The G shape. Okay, I'm going to jump over that, land on the E shape. What comes next? The D shape. I'm going to jump over that, land on the C shape. And you want to practice this with every type of chord. Say you're playing an E minor chord, C minor shape. All right, jump over the A minor shape, go to the G minor shape. Jump over the E minor shape, go to the D minor shape. Let's see if I can get up here without looking. There it is. Yeah, I wasn't looking. All right, and you want to be able to go back and forth with your seventh chords. Everything. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice together. Just like I mentioned earlier, if you want bonus practice sessions to sync this in, a printable version of all the graphics on the screen, and bonus plays that are based on all the information, check out my Patreon page. All right, so let's do this exercise together. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a chord, and I'm going to pick a B chord, all right? And we're going to play a A-shaped B chord right here. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot with my eyes. You're going to spot with your eyes. And what we're going to do on the count of three, don't move. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to try and land on the next shape together. Now, what will that be? Let's walk through it. The B chord that is an A shape. There it is right there. All right. Now, what we're going to, don't move. You stay there. You play this with me. And on the count of three, not yet, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to jump to the next shape, but let's walk through it. The A shape connects to the G shape right about here. You want to see it, okay? And there it is, and now we're going to jump over the G shape and land right on that E shape on the 7th fret. And so we're going to go, it's going to be on, let's see, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to plant the chord. So after 3. So 1, 2, 3, chord. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, chord. Did you get to the 7th fret E shape? All right. After this, okay, E shape connects to D shape, and we're going to see it, and then we're going to try and see the C shape that we got to go to. And we're going to do it on 3. 1, 2, 3, chord. I meant after 3, sorry. All right, so you have 1, 2, 3, chord. 1, 2, see if we can go backwards. Let's get to this C-shaped B chord on the 11th fret. Let's see if we can go backwards, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. You go 1, 2, 3, chord, 1, 2, 3, chord. And this is how you want to practice this first, all right? And so you can pause this and you can try doing it with just major shapes, minor shapes, and even 7 shapes. We're talking full chords right now, just all the voicings. And once you get used to the exercise, I want you to come back and we're going to do the same exact thing with arpeggios. So really pause this video, try it out, right? I believe in you. I want you to, hopefully by now, some new information's clicking and you're going, okay, this is cool, this is a new way of seeing everything. And leave a comment below. Let me know how we're doing. And let's keep going, okay? So we'll stop here, pause, and let's try it again when you come back with arpeggios. All right, we're gonna do the same exact thing, but now with our arpeggios. And so what we're gonna try doing here is full chord shape arpeggios, not just the physical, but the full. So what we're gonna do, let's start on a D chord, which is C shape down here. Now again, some people might, they have trouble with that pinky. I get it, trust me. So if you can see it, that's great, but we're gonna start on the lowest possible note. And we're gonna go like this. Now we can't do this together because every arpeggio has different amount of notes, so the beats that you spend on it aren't gonna be the same, but you wanna try going with me, okay? We're gonna go. Now backwards. Let's climb back up to the root note. Then if you want, you can strum the chord. Skip over that A shape, go right to the G shape. Don't do it yet, but let's start on that thick root note, the thick one down here like this. All right, and let's just go all the way up and all the way down. There it is. Let's skip over that E shape and we got to get to the D shape. All right, and so there it is. All right, so I can see where the D shape connects. All right, and I'm going to start on the lowest the lowest extended chord tone, which is going to be the 14th fret. Here I go. Let's climb back up to the root note. And you want to do the same exact thing for your minors. You want to do the same exact thing for your 7ths. Let's do a minor. We'll do a 7th as well. It's hard, trust me, I know. But practicing this stuff, and I can't stress to you, even though I talk fast, and even though this video is, it's gonna be, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know the length of it just yet. You are in no rush. This is your own time, right? We're not really doing anything right now except playing guitar, having fun. So pause and really work on this stuff because I know you can do it. All right, so let's try a minor one. All right, so we're going to try a C minor chord, A minor shape. If you want to, let's plan our moves first. The A minor shape, okay, connects C, A, G to the G minor shape. We're going to jump over that and we're going to go right to the E minor shape, right here. And then we're going to jump over the D minor shape and go right to the C minor shape here. All right, so we have the A minor shape on the 3rd fret, the E minor shape on the 8th fret, and then we have the C minor shape around the, I'd say 15th fret, 13th fret area. All right, so let's do the full arpeggios, okay? So if you've practiced these arpeggios, you should be good to go. If you need to practice them, use that time, the scroll bar, use the timestamps to go back and practice these arpeggios. They're there for you. Here we go. We're going to start from all of them, okay? So I'm going to do the A minor shape here. Go back up to the root note, just so you can hear that resolve. Now we're going to jump to the E minor arpeggio, the E minor shape. This is still a C minor chord. Sorry, a little glitch there. We're going to jump to the C minor shaped C minor chord, all right? And then we're going to find that arpeggio. Now, I like to start this one, believe it or not, on the root note here. That whole extended one where we have to come down here. Me personally, I like it better. It's going. And then going here and back up. So you have C minor arpeggios in the A minor shape, C minor arpeggios, There it is. In the E minor shape. C minor arpeggios, really, in the C minor shape. And you want to practice naming a chord, finding and navigating, okay? These practice sessions, I can't stress enough, go nice and slow. Get them, all right? This is about me and you. It's about you, actually. It's just about me helping you. It's about you. You can do this. I want you to feel good. I want you to wake up tomorrow and be like, I did it, all right? So last one we'll do, 7th chords. Let's do something interesting. Let's do, actually, no, I'm not going to make it too hard. Let's do an A7 here. All right, this is the A7 chord. It's the G7 shape. All right, and so the root note's here. We jump over the E shape, and we're going to go right to the D7 shape on that 7th fret. Find it with the root notes, okay? There's a lot going on here. Lots going on. All right, and then after you do the D7 shape, we're going to skip over the C7 shape and go right to the A7 shape. Not bad. Okay, and then we got, oh, you here? And then we got here. There's a lot of jumping right there. All right, so I'll do it one more time. 2nd fret, the root note's here, so it's a huge jump. You skip over there, go here. Then you're going to skip over that A7, the C7 shaped right there, and go to your A7. And so let's look at those arpeggios, all right? So we're going to do, okay, flat 7, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. I'm saying them out loud because I'm tracking them in real time. I can really, like, when it comes to 7th chord arpeggios, I can really just say, okay, it's the major, but put the flat 7 in. So really, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. Great. And now we're going to move to the D7 shape. All right, so here is the 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 1, flat 7, 5, major third, 1, flat 7, 5, major third. I'm telling you, like in real life, when I'm playing, I can see this really good, but trying to like slow it down and explain it, man, it really chokes me up. And then we're going to jump over the D7 shape to the A7 shape, and then we're going to do the major arpeggio and that flat 7. Here's the 5, flat 7, 1, major third, 5, flat 7, 1, major third, 5, flat 7. This exercise of jumping shapes and playing the arpeggios up and down can be done with major, minor, and 7ths. And you want to sit and just watch TV and do this and get this into your brain. And again, if you want to take screenshots, if you want to write them out, if you want to grab the printable version, that is up to you. But memorizing them on your own terms is what you want to do. We have a couple more practice sessions to do before we get to the actual plays and run the plays and show you how to use these, when to use these. Right now, we're still in the ingredient phase, like Iron Chef. Here's your ingredients. We've got to make a dish. That's coming in part 2. A couple more practice sessions to come. Now, this practice session is going to be a litmus test to see how well you can own your practice sessions. We went over all of our arpeggios that we need for this class, the major, the minor, and the 7ths. They are there. They're sitting there on the screen waiting for you to really acknowledge them and practice them. Now, a great way to practice them, to get them into your fingers, into your mind, and also as we progress through the playbook, learn how to not choke, not kind of like be like, oh my God, I only practice this in one direction. What happens if you come in on this up here when all of a sudden you only practice it from the thick to a thin? So what you want to do is you want to practice from thick to thin and thin to thick, but a very certain way. Now, if my student Barry is watching, he's going to laugh at this because we designed this, this lesson together and it really helps. And so what you want to do is take any arpeggio. Let's just take the E major arpeggio shape. And we had the 1, the 3, the 5, the 1, 3, 5, 1. And if you want to do a 3 up here, you can. And now instead of just practicing it, there's a deadliness in that. What you want to do is create an overlapping arpeggio. And we're going to discuss the thick side first. I'll show you what I mean. The thick arpeggio is going to go from E to G. And so we take that E major arpeggio, whether you play it like this, or like this, you stop on the G string. And so you practice, and then backwards. And once you get the thick side down, you then move to your thin side. Now, a thin side would look like this. You take it from the E string to the D string. Okay, so both of these arpeggio runs have the D and G string overlapping in them. You'll have the thin side and the thick side. And you want to practice forward, backwards, backwards, and forward. And you want to divide them up mentally, and you want to be able to put them together. Again, they cross over here. The reason being, again, is when we use these for solos or riffs or anything, if you're improvising and kind of in the flow, and the next thing you know, you come in the middle. You know, a lot of people all of a sudden go, "Oh my God, I'm in the middle of the arpeggio. Where do I go?" And you want to practice being able to flow back or forward. So you're going to take all of your arpeggios that you know, all right, any of them. Let's just take I don't know, a C minor arpeggio, right? No, because that's a hard one. We'll take an A minor arpeggio, A minor shape, all right? So here is on the 5th fret, A minor shape. So the A minor shape arpeggio looks like this. It's the 5, the 1, the flat 3, the 5, 1, flat 3, 1. 5 right there. Don't listen to me. So it's 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5. And you have your thick side that goes to the G string. You have your thin side that goes from the E to the D string. And you want to practice all of your arpeggios like that. So go through your favorite arpeggios, go through your least favorite arpeggios, and see if you can become better friends with thick to thin and thin to thick with the overlap. It will come in handy as we progress. Very short practice session, but here, instead of me saying, okay, let's do this, this, and this, look at the arpeggios that you either screenshot or in the binder, however you want to do it, and really try this. And again, this all takes time, but you're becoming an arpeggio master. I'll see you in a couple seconds. Bye. This one is big. This is the secret as well. You know, I said, you know, being able to see things and navigate as you're playing is a big secret to the professionals. Another one is the power that I think all of us guitar players want to have when we're improvising, which is how do you bring all of the music and the notes to you? And that's what this practice session is about. We're going to learn how to stay in one place and find everything we need with the arpeggios, all right? And so we're going to study a very simple chord progression of A, and D, and E. Really simple. We'll keep this really simple. You can come up with whatever chord progressions you want, and I'll mention again on my Patreon page, we're going to do all of these practice sessions with different ingredients, and so you can practice with me if you feel like you're getting a lot out of it and you want to like learn a little bit more, or actually not learn more. You're learning everything here. Just practice with me and get it. All right, so A, D, and E. Now, what I just did right now, I'll tell you, when I'm teaching this stuff in private lessons, what I just did is a big no-no. I started on the 5th fret with my A chord, started on my 5th fret with my D chord, and I came up to the 7th fret with my E chord. We don't want to do that when we're improvising. We want to try and keep all of our arpeggios and chord tones within the same like 4 to 5 fret area. So if you find yourself trying to do this exercise and coming out of position, no. We have that E-shaped A chord here, our A-shaped D chord here, and it's like, okay, we went to an A shape, but no, what connects on the other side of an A? Oh, the C shape. All right, you should know that somewhat by now, okay? You need to be able to bring the chords to you no matter where you are. Now, before we go any further, I'll show you. Let me show you another one. Okay, we're going to stay here, but you want to be able to do this. Now, it might take you a half hour the first time you try to do this. Again, you know, all those graphics I showed you, what strings each chord shape has a root note on. It might take you some time to think about it and figure it out, but once you can do it, that whole mental processing power really starts to back off and you can do it. For instance, if I want to play an A, D, and E up here, I have an A chord in the D shape, right here. Then a D chord up in the G shape, and then the E chord is my A shape. And you want to be able to bring everything to you. You really don't want to move. So here we have the A, the D, and the E. And what you want to do is you want to play the chords maybe 4 to 8 beats per chord. Let's do 8 beats, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and back to the root. Now if you can't play the pinky on that C shape, it's okay, play what you can. Now after you do that, what you want to try and do is keep that beat and just keep on playing through all of those arpeggios like this. Like, really? Just turn the masterclass off. We're done. No, you want to be able to do that, okay? And just when I'm teaching, man. Okay, so you want to be able to keep the beat and go through all the arpeggios. And you can try that. Pause this and just try A, D, and E. We're going to do one more, all right? Just one more, and then I'll show you. The possibilities are endless. Absolutely endless. So pause this video and really try to do that. Try to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Start on the root note of the chord when you're doing this. Start on the root note. So you can hear those downbeats and those chords sticking together, that you're chasing them correctly. Start on the root note, so wherever you are, and you can go up or down, left or right. All right, and so now, I'm going to show you how to do this with, I'm going to show you how to do this with a different chord progression, and one that has a minor, one that has a major, and a seventh. So we're going to start this chord progression. We're going to play an A minor here in the 5th fret, and we're going to go to a G chord. Now we got to find a G chord around that 5th fret. So let me show you. There are many ways to do it. Some of you might be able to jump right there, but some of you might say, well, I know there's a G chord here. Okay, that's on the 3rd fret. What shape connects to it? Oh, the D shape here. So I have an A minor, I have my G chord, and then we're going to go for a D7. Many ways to find it. You can say, well, how do I find a D around the 5th fret? Some of you might know, hey, there's a D on the 5th fret of the A string, and then say to yourself, okay, well, what kind of chord has a root note on the A string? You'll see it's an A7 shape, and you can play it here. You might be able to connect it from a D7 shape to a C7 shape to an A7 shape. Whatever it is, here it is right here. And so what we're going to do, all 3 chords are right here on the 5th fret, and we're just going to go over those arpeggios one more time. All right, they're going to be right here. And so the A minor arpeggio is going to be, now we're just going to talk frets-wise. Fret 5, 8, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, 8. That's the E minor shaped arpeggio. We're using an E minor chord. There it is. All right. And then we have our D-shaped chord for our G. We'll get our D-shaped arpeggio. Or whichever one you want. And the D7 chord, which is the A7 shape, and you will have the 5, the flat 7, the 1 major third, 5 flat 7, 1 major third, 5 flat 7. Huge arpeggio. All right, and so what you want to do is you want to kind of play the chords first, maybe, really give it a long time, maybe 8 beats each, something like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now what you want to do is do the same type of rhythm, but play the arpeggios. You definitely, again, want to come in on that root note. So check this out. You're going to go like 1. Now I hit one wrong note in there. I was trying to pick. I hit one wrong note, but I just kept going. You should just keep going there. So I'll do it one more time. I'll show you. You have the E minor shaped chord for the A. So any arpeggios. To the D-shaped arpeggio. To the A7 shaped arpeggio. Back to the E minor shaped. And so then you want to practice like this and bring all of your chords to you. Super important. Before I go, I'm going to show you one more thing with this A minor, G, and D7 chord progression. We're going to solo, we're going to bring our arpeggios to us just like we did, but now we're going to solo the first time around with just the thick side arpeggios, and the second time around with the thin side arpeggios. Really interesting stuff as you practice this. Again, practicing this stuff is key, and you just want to do that more and more and more so it becomes second nature. So check this out. Here's the thick stuff. Now the thin side. Okay, so there was both on the thick side and thin side. And you want to sit and try this stuff out with all different chord progressions, really hit it hard, all right? And so bringing the chords to you is another, real tactic, real play that we're going to bring to us when we start running our plays. And so practice, practice, practice. I think what comes next is our playbook. All right, so remember, no rush. Get this stuff. This video will always be here. See you soon. Bye-bye. All right, we made it. We made it to our very first play in the playbook. The way this is going to work, very simply, I'm going to bring that pyramid back up, all right? We are going to start where the music of the guitar starts, in the rhythm section, all right? That is the base of the pyramid, and you heard me speaking all throughout this workshop, throughout this masterclass, that you want to always have an eye on those chords. And so we're going to prove to ourselves how to keep an eye on those chords and create some melody with our first play, the one chord bass line. All right, so let's say you hear this all the time in jam band music, in vamps, when all of a sudden the band kind of comes low and everything kind of stops, and maybe the singer is saying something. Being able to just play a little bass line out of arpeggios is huge. And so we're going to take an A minor chord, okay, E minor shape. And pretend the band is just playing this, or you're in a groove right now, and you're just going. And everybody's just doing that. Well, remember, if you're playing an A minor chord, the A minor arpeggios are going to sound great. Why? Because they are of the same exact ingredients. It's just breaking a piece of that Kit Kat bar. And so what you want to see here is if you're playing this chord shape, you want to see the arpeggios that we have practiced for the past hour, right? And here they are. Here's that 1, the flat 3, the 5, the 1, the flat 3. At this point in time, you really don't have to think about those intervals except the roots right now, because you want to come in on a root. But let's just say you're doing this, right? And next thing you know, they kind of look at you and go, okay, people are going to look at you and go, oh, that was tasty. And they're going to go, I know. So you see this all of the time, creating bass lines from your one chord vamp, like a one chord groove. So let's just take a look at one more chord. Let's say we're vamping on a G major chord. All right, load up the major arpeggio for that shape, whatever shape you're in, okay? And so we have our E-shaped arpeggio, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. We just need our thick end for this type of stuff, and see if you can come up with a good groove, and really just sit and play those notes until the rhythm locks. And you're going to hear these kind of little grooves everywhere in music. So the one chord bass line groove is something that you really want to focus on. Now I will tell you this, okay? I picked 2 chords where the root notes are on the E string because I knew we were going for a bass line. So we'll do one more, okay? This wasn't planned. I just want to show you. Say you are playing an F chord. All right, so let me show you this. A D-shaped F chord would be the 3rd fret like this, 3, 5, 6. You know, if you're gonna do it, if you got monster hands, you can do this guy here. But say we're playing an F chord. It's a D-shaped F chord. And now you need to come up with a bass line. Well, you gotta look at that arpeggio. Here's your 3, 5, 1 major third. So we have, there's that thick side. So it works again. And so these arpeggios should be familiar to you. If not, if you skip forward, if this is your first time, like I'm going right to this timestamp, go learn those arpeggio shapes so you can get your bass lines in there. So you just want to pick one chord, whether it's a minor chord, whether it's a 7th chord, whether it is a major chord, and you want to play some bass lines. As a matter of fact, I keep on saying, you know, let's do one more, and I'll show you this. So if I took a B7 chord, right here, a B7, just like this. If I look at my arpeggio, I have 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, or 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And so well, there's an extra note in there, but I'm just showing this. I threw in this extra note. That's from a scale, but you can see that 1, 3, 5, flat 7. For any Grateful Dead fans, they're going to understand where the bass line comes from. So you can pick any one of these chords and come up with one chord bassline vamps. All right, that's your first playbook, and hopefully you're enjoying this. We're going to go to our second play, but really sit and practice whatever you can think of. Remember, if you want to learn, you know, if you want to practice different chords in different scenarios, come check out the Patreon page, because it is quite awesome, and all the stuff is going to be I don't know, about 20 or 30 extra bonus plays, not bonus plays, but bonus practice sessions based on these plays. See you in a second. Bye-bye. Play number 2, very similar to play number 1, but now we have a double groove, a double chord groove, all right? Where now we have a chord progression that's 2 chords going back and forth, and whether you have like 2 guitar players, let's just say for, I don't know, example, I use the A minor and G a lot, I like it, so let's just say with an A minor and a G. So look at those shapes. You have your E minor shape to the E major shape. And let's say you want to bring a little bass line action. Okay, so what you're going to do here is, because you're in basslineville, you really want to follow that root note. Okay, I know that I taught a lesson on practicing by keeping everything in the same place, and we'll get there. But this, you really want to kind of chase that bass note. So you have your E minor shaped arpeggio to your E major, or whichever one is easier for you. And so now if you have this, now and what I was doing there was the same theme. 1 flat 3 5, 1 flat 3 1, then 1 3 5, 1 3 1, 1 3 5. So creating this symmetrical groove on 2 chords. Sorry. You can mix and match scratch like I was just doing. It's always going to sound good. And so you want to practice. You want to practice your second play of creating a chord progression, okay, with 2 chords moving back and forth. I'll do one more, and you can practice with me. As a matter of fact, what am I talking about? How about for about a minute right now, I just play those chords, A minor and G. No, because I already said it for you. No, because you're gonna not cheat, but you're gonna have this like already like preconceived notion. So let me come up with a different bass line. How about we do B to A, B major to A major. And so I'm gonna play for a minute, and I want you to come up with your own bass line. I want you to look at the chord shape you're playing, create an arpeggio off the thick side, and create that bass line. Here we go. You do it. Hopefully you did well. Hopefully you found those arpeggio shapes and you kind of grooved on your bass line. So this is play number 2. If I were you, I would get a looper, get some chords going, and create your bass lines, all right? Again, we're moving up the rhythm pyramid or the music pyramid. We're starting with a lot of rhythm stuff. We will get into soloing. That'll be in our later plays, but stick with this. Work on these arpeggios, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. This is our third play, the 2-chord progression with an arpeggio ending. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take a D-shaped chord, and we're going to have it, again, you can do this with anything, but I just want to throw in a D-shaped arpeggio. And you're going to practice your D-shaped G chord up on the 5th fret bar, pinky on the 8th fret, to an F, 2 frets down. So if you have a chord progression that's like this, like G, 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 F, I hear all the time where the first chord is played as the chord, then just a spank on that chord, and then an arpeggio. And so you want to come up with a 2-chord progression of any chord shapes. I'll do a couple more, and you want to play your first chord with a good rhythm, whatever rhythm you want. And then the second chord you're just going to hit once, and then play some piece of the arpeggio. And so you want to practice that. I'll do one more. Let's just do a minors, all minor. Let's do D minor to C minor. Why not? Like here. That was the E minor shaped chord using the E minor shaped arpeggios. All right, let's do one more. Let's do 7 chords. Why not do 7 chords? All right, let's try. We'll make it easy. You can pick your 7 chord shapes, but I'll do the E7 shaped chords because again, this is a masterclass. But I don't want to be like, oh, maybe you didn't practice all the crazy arpeggios. So the easiest one would be the E7 shape. So let's just say I have like B7 to A7, which is a groove we just kind of did, but with 7 chords. So let's just say we have B7, A7. right, so one spank on that A chord and then a riff. All right, you can see, again, I hear these in grooves and you're writing songs. We're in the rhythm section. Great exercise to practice. Use your C7 shape, your A7 shape, your G7 shape. Use them all. Practice, practice, practice. We're on to play number 4. All right, in this play, we're going to make our chords disappear and use 100% pure arpeggios. Say you have a chord progression you come up with, and you want to make it a little more interesting. You can use all of your CAGED arpeggios in whatever sequence you want. Now, I'm going to show you actually a very well-known jam band song intro, just 3 chords of it, and how it was composed. Now, I'm going to show you, the chord progression is G minor, C, F. And there's more to it, or it's just going to be G minor, C, and F that we're going to talk about. All right, well, this special guitar player took a G minor, didn't play it here, okay, didn't play it here, but thought of the arpeggios here in the C minor shaped arpeggio. For the C chord, they saw the E shaped arpeggio, and for the F chord, they saw the A-shaped arpeggio. And now this goes back to the practice sessions where you're learning how to bring your chords to you. Instead of playing G minor, C, and F, he was playing G minor here, C, and F. And let's take a look at that first chord shape, the C minor shape. Again, you don't have to play this pinky, but you want to see it. Coming off of the root note, the arpeggio from thick to thin looks like this. Now, next chord is C, and coming backwards from thin to thick on the E shape is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then next chord is F, right here, the A shape, and he plays the A-shaped arpeggio. All right, so he has this. It's exactly what we practice. You know, the first time I heard this, I just want to say is, I thought it was guitar magic. I couldn't understand how a person could write. It made no sense. And then all of a sudden when I learned these are just C minor shaped arpeggios, E shaped arpeggios, oh sorry, and then A shaped arpeggios, blew my mind, right? So your play that you got to run is come up with a 2, 3, 4 chord progression and make the chords completely disappear. And you want to try and sew your arpeggios together. Now, what do I mean by that? That is going to be in our next playbook. So try to write something, and our next play is going to be kind of like the part 2, but you need to have this first. So write a chord progression, whatever it is, and write something with a full chord arpeggio sequence that makes the chords disappear. And hopefully, in our next lesson, I'll show you how to make it a little bit tighter. All right, see you soon. All right, I just mentioned in our previous play that we need to learn how to bring our arpeggios closer together. And what I mean by that is very, very simple. This is, you know, you hear this definition a lot. You hear what's called voice leading, and I like to call it proximity playing. But let me show you something. What I want to say is that all these arpeggios span the six strings. They're everywhere, and you have about 3 or 4 fret distance. And so if I wrote a song that was A to D, what I would do is you want to write your A line like, let's see, here we go. There it is. So say I did this. Well, when I go to the D, you don't want to jump to the D. You want to find the closest D arpeggio to where you are. And so when you play a D chord here, you can say, okay, I'm ending on the 6th fret of the G. Let me run that arpeggio. Oh, look, the 7th fret of the G is so close. And now you want to start your song or your arpeggio from the next closest arpeggio of the next chord. So if I do, like, to a D. All right, you can hear how the two chords swung into each other really nicely because you played one note, you ended one note on the A, and then by proximity, a half step away, you brought in your next arpeggio. Now let's, I can keep on going, but you want to practice just two chords. And so I'll do it again for you, two totally different chords. I don't know if I went too fast. I'm going to show you that again, just in case it went a little too fast. I'm starting to get excited. You have your E-shaped chord for the A. And my riff was. And then for the D, my whole D arpeggio from the A-shaped chord. And I ended my first arpeggio here. I looked by proximity to what the closest arpeggio was for going into my D. It was right here. Sorry. And you kind of sew them together. Let's just do a totally different one so you can see it happen. Let's do B minor to A major. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a B minor, and I can pick an A major here, but if I'm playing by proximity, you might want to bring an A minor to you here. B minor, and so this was the A minor, connects to the D minor shape right here. Here's my D minor, A minor shape, A minor chord, D minor shape. And so I have this guy to this guy. All right, so I'm going to practice my arpeggios. And so that was my D minor shaped arpeggio. So now let's see if I can write something. So let's see. And then actually, well, oh yeah, okay. So the D minor's here, and there it is. So. So you can see I picked a note that was close by on the chord shift. And so you want to practice doing that. You want to write a two-chord progression, any two chords. Heck, steal it from a song that you know and see if you can write an arpeggiated sequence, bring the chords to you. These plays are going to get harder and harder as we get, from the rhythm section into the mid-rhythm section into the lead. But you want to practice this so you get really, really good at, A, knowing your plays, and B, seeing those arpeggios. So I'll stop talking. See you on the next play. All right, we made it. We made it to the soloing section. Remember that pyramid? We have the drums and percussion, you have the bass, you have the rhythm section, and everything, all these little plays that we did are kind of in that bass and rhythm section area. Now we're on top, we're in lead position. And hopefully practicing it from the ground up is going to keep your eyes on those chord tones, on the movement, so that when we start to put our arpeggios in the solo, we know when to put them in and how to put them in. And that's what this play is all about, highlighting your chords. So really quickly, we want to write a very simple chord progression, which I'll do right now. I'll get it on my looper, and then we are going to try to solo over it. So let me show you the chord progression. A minor, C, G, F. That's it. Let's give a listen. Good. All right. And so now, when it comes to soloing, this is a caged playbook for the arpeggios. And so soloing is a whole other thing, believe it or not. And using your scales and which scale options is up to you as a guitar player if you know which scales options you have. I'll link some videos below. My entire channel is riddled with these ideas. This masterclass is about throwing the arpeggios in of the chords that are happening, and so that you can really make those moments shine independent of what scale you're using. With that being said, we are going to use just an A minor pentatonic on top of this. Now, if you want to use another type of scale, an A minor scale, which would be an Aeolian, that's fine, but the A minor pentatonic is what I'm going to use, and we're going to stick with the form 1 pentatonic. So it's going to look like this. It's going to be 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Very, very simple. And we want to use this and we want to combine the chord tones. So what's our first step? Our first step is learning to bring the chords to you. And so we are in this 5th fret area. We need to find all of those chords and arpeggios within the 5th fret. The first chord is an A minor. Well, most of you will know you have your A right here, and that goes with the E minor shaped chord. And that goes with the E minor shaped arpeggio. The second chord was a C, and on the 5th fret area, a G-shaped chord barred on the C, thin or thick, will give you a C. And the full arpeggios of the G shape would be this. Now, just in case you skip forward to this section and you're going, whoa, 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 what is this? Go back to the beginning. Really, it's going to be very, very easy for you to do. Just get all those arpeggio shapes down and then come back here. Let's keep going. We need a G chord. So where is there a G chord around the 5th fret? You can do it 2 ways. You can try and connect your G shape to your E shape to your D shape. Or you can say, well, you know what, there's a G where, oh, the 5th fret of the D string, if you know that. And then, okay, what's on the D string? That's a D-shaped chord. And so we have our G chord here. And we have that G major arpeggio. Our last chord is an F chord. Finding an F chord around the 5th fret area, I happen to know it is our C shape barred on our 5th fret. Okay, we can connect the E shape to the D shape and to the C shape. If you know how, hey, there's an F on that 6th fret, okay, that's going to be my C shape of the B string. However you want to do it. But if this takes you a half hour, so be it. If it takes you 30 seconds, so be it. If you keep on doing this, you're going to get faster and faster and faster and faster. I've been doing this for a while, so I know how to do it, but you want to take your time in assessing those chords. So I'm going to play that backing track with all the chords here first. Just the chords. A minor, C, G, F. All right. And now what you want to do is you want to highlight one chord at a time and then use the pentatonic to solo. What do I mean? Okay, well, the first chord is your A minor. So the first thing you're going to do is only play your A minor arpeggios. You don't have to come in on the thick, you can come in on the thin, you can come in the middle. But once the A minor passes, then you want to use the pentatonic. Now I am going to click on a little bit of distortion here, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like. Okay, so pay attention because it moves quickly. But on the A, and oh, by the way, I'm going to play this backing track and shout the chords out with you in a couple minutes, so you can experience this on your own with me. And so, just pay attention. Here we go. So listen for the A minor, and so I'm going to start like this, like. That was it. I just went up the arpeggio. And now the rest is going to be pentatonic. All right, now it comes around again. And when the A minor starts now, I am going to just solo with the pentatonic on the A minor, but now I'm going to focus on the C chord. So the A minor comes a second time around, I'm going to play the A minor pentatonic. The C chord comes, I'm going to focus on those arpeggios. And then when the G and the F chord come, I'm going to just solo with the pentatonic. So check this out. A minor, pentatonic, C, then the G, just pentatonic, and the F. All right, so we're going to do it like this, and I'm going to show you again. I'm going to do the A minor arpeggios, then all pentatonic. Then I'm going to do the C major, arpeggios and all pentatonic. I'll do the G and I'll do the F, but here we go. Just want to show you that one more time. A minor arpeggios. Pentatonic. Starts again A minor, but now with the pentatonic. C arpeggios. Pentatonic. Now, next chord, A minor, C, G. The G chord's right here. I'm going to use those D-shaped arpeggios on top of the G chord this time. The A minor and the C get the pentatonic. G chord gets the chord tones. you can hear, really, it sounds great. And you get to pick which chord tone you want to highlight. Now, the last one is the F chord. All right, so the F chord, sorry, I should have played here, is the C shape. You want to practice that arpeggio. Now you're going to solo completely with the pentatonic, and you're going to highlight those F chord tones as they come around. Let's see. Hear that you're now picking them out. And so I'm going to play this backing track with you. You can pause here if you want to write it out. Again, I know I mentioned this, my Patreon bonus sessions and practice lessons, something like that. We'll have the printable playbook for you, even though all the graphics are here. But if you want to organize, you can kind of look at those arpeggios, and you can really try and follow along. But I will now play that chord progression for you, and you are going to do exactly that. Choose the chord to highlight. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. A minor. Here we go. A minor. C. G. G, F, A minor, C, G, F, A minor, C, G, hopefully you were able to follow along. You don't have to put in all the arpeggios I showed you. You can just get a little cluster of them just so you can start working on it. But being able to solo with whatever scale you choose, in this case, the A minor pentatonic would work. You know, if you are soloing on different songs and you have a scale of choice, now you want to start putting in those arpeggios, you can do the exact same thing. You want to pick a scale position, and then you want to start to bring the chords to you and choose which chord tones you like to highlight. And as you practice and play, you will be able to say, okay, when I play this song, I want to highlight this chord. Our first play in Soloville. Why? Well, we're playing a scale and we're mentally keeping track of our chords. We understand from all the practice. I mean, we're probably, I don't know, an hour and a half into the masterclass. We're just diving into how to use it, because all those ingredients, all those practice sessions lead up to you following with your eyes the chords and your fingers playing the frets and the arpeggios. All right. We're going to have another play. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you in our next play. Bye-bye. All right, our next play, highlighting with motifs. You might have seen in the previous play that when a chord came, I kind of did something like this. And that is a motif, a repeating pattern. And we're going to use our arpeggio shapes to insert these motif runs on a chord. Now, this really works best when we have a chord that kind of like sits for a couple seconds, or we have a double chord. And I'll explain that in a second. But what we're going to develop is we're going to take any arpeggio you want, and we're going to do this pattern of triplets or groups of 3. I like to think in 1, 2, 3 for some reason when it comes to this. So I'm going to, turn the bingo turner in my head. I'm just going to reach in, I'm going to pull out an arpeggio shape. And for some reason, I'm seeing the D minor arpeggio, but come on, that's brutal. So we're going to throw that out, and we're going to reach back in, and I'm going to say, okay, let's use the A minor chord shape right now. All right, we're going to talk about 7th chord soon, and we should do this with the 7th chord, maybe after this, but the A minor chord shape, have it right here. All right, so if we play the A minor chord shape on the 5th fret here, this is a D minor chord. And so I'm going to look at that arpeggio, and I can see it fully. And what I want to do is start on the root note, and I'm going to go through the arpeggios in order in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to start on the 2nd note I was just on. And and that becomes my 1, 2, 3. Really? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what it should have sounded like. And so I have 1, 2, 3, and then start here on the 2, but now it becomes the 1. 1, 2, 3. Now this was my second note in that run. 1, 2, 3. This was my second note in that run. 1, 2, 3. So you get these. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so this is a D minor chord. So let's say we have a chord progression that goes, let's see, C, D minor, like that. Okay, so C, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 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 a minor chord. So let me get that on a loop really quickly so you can hear it. So here we can use, let's just say we can use a C major arpeggio, and that should work fine. Let's see, C major pentatonic, and that would be, if I'm using the form 1, it'd be the 5th fret right here. Again, the scale choice is there's a lot of in Stichmethod, and if you're interested, you can watch a ton of videos, but here we're just going to be using pentatonics because this is an arpeggio masterclass. And so that was a C major to a D minor. I assume it's in the key of C, so I'm going to use a C major pentatonic for it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my C major pentatonic, and on the C, I'm going to hit the C major, pentatonic. When the D comes, or the D minor comes, I'm still going to solo on that C major pentatonic, but when the timing is right, I'm really going to try and hop into those arpeggios. Let's see if we can nail this. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I was just kind of zoning out there. And so when you get that motif in, you can decide to keep with the motif or go back into your parent scale. But motif runs, those patterns you find everywhere, especially on songs that have like a double chord. Let's do it one more time just to show you. And what I mean by that double chord is, I want to keep it easy. I know this is probably the 10th time I mentioned this, but all the information here, all the graphics is all you need to know. If you want to practice even more, sink this stuff in. If you're intrigued, check out the Patreon page. You will not be disappointed. I'll have more chord progressions to practice. Let's just take this, because we're live on YouTube right now. We're not live, but this is a YouTube class. We'll make it easy, and we'll go D, G, A to G, and we're going to double the time on the G. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see when you have chord progressions that have this like double chord at the end, you're going to hear these motif runs. So let me get that on the loop. While I record this loop, if you listen to Guns N' Roses, this is their trick. You're going to hear they usually play a chord twice and Slash will boom, and before he gets into another part of the solo. It's awesome. And so I'll get this D, A, and G down. Turn on some distortion. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the D major pentatonic here, on the 7th fret. And what's interesting is the first time around, I'm going to play the G arpeggio or the motif down here on that E shape. And then the second time around, I'm going to do what we did from our previous play and find my G where my scale is and try to run a motif off of that. There's my C shape. You'll hear something like this. So let's see if I can get both in there. there, you can see I went backwards and I just kind of kept on doing the same thing. So those motifs are based on patterns, triplets, all right? And so you want to try this out. You can take this chord progression, make a loop, any sort of doubled chord, you can always get those motifs, do-da-da, 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 and they really help you kind of develop this like language back into your solo. And so practice this. This play you hear a lot of, especially in music that is written, but if you're improvising and you can spot it, you can always throw this in. A shorter play, but nonetheless something that you really want to practice. Let's get to our next play. All right, our next play involves highlighting seventh chords. Now, shameless plug here, if you haven't seen my free Blues Primer playlist on YouTube, that leads to my 2 blues masterclasses. That will show you how dependent the blues are on seventh chords and how to learn how to kind of solo over the blues. Here we are talking about, if you're writing a jam or playing in a jam and has a seventh chord in it, how to kind of highlight that. And so let me show you this whole YouTube class I'm teaching right now. I've focused a lot on the D, G, and A. This will be no different. I don't know why, it's my 3 favorite chords. Say you have a jam that has D and G and then A7. Want to improvise over that. Well, the seventh chord has this really cool tension in it, all right? And I don't want to get too heavy, but that flat 7 of the seventh chord and the major third of it rub together and produce what's called a tritone, and there's this like, A1 steak sauce, as I say, in a seventh chord. You can hear it. And so we want to really emphasize that. So the best thing you can do, well, there's 2 things you can do, of course. You can play the flat 7, which is the special note, or really highlight it. Go between the 1 and the flat 7, I'll show you, and also dance between the 1, the 3, and the flat 7. So knowing your intervals here is kind of important. So let's say, let me erase this loop really quickly, and let's say I have this loop of D, G, A7. We'll do it twice. So I have the loop, and now I'm going to use the D major pentatonic, right? Form 1, that's it. We are studying how arpeggios work, and so pentatonics it is. And so 7-10, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 7-10, 7-10. All right, and so let's solo with the D major pentatonic, and now when the A7 comes, I'm going to solo. I'm going to find that A7 where I am, and that A7 is the D7 shape chord. All right, here it is. And what's really cool, I'll show you, is you want to know that arpeggio. We discussed this at the very beginning of the class. Let's see, you have, you have the 3, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, the major third, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, and the 3. And you want to really punch the 3s and the 1s and the 3s and the 1s and the flat 7s as best you can. So I'll turn on a little bit of distortion, and you want to kind of really, emphasize those notes. Okay, so that one, I thought there was next bar coming, and so you want to practice, really hitting the flat 7, the major third. We'll do it one more time together, and knowing your arpeggios is really going to help out. So how about I pick, knowing your intervals and really getting that flat 7 and the 3. How about I pick a totally different key and a totally different 7th chord shape. Let's see. How about we do the key of B? All right, we're going to do B to E, F sharp 7. Twice. All right. B, E, F sharp 7. All right, so let's find a B major pentatonic. Form 1. I happen to know it's on the 4th and 7th fret. How do I know that? Well, I need a Form 1 pentatonic, so I need my G-shaped chord. Again, this is on the Blues Primer, the CAGED Primer playlist. And so here's my G-shaped chord, root notes on the B. Here's my Form 1 pentatonic. All right, and so I'm going to solo. When the F sharp 7 comes, I need to find the F sharp 7. Oh, look at that. It's the same shape. It's the same shape as the D7 shape. Well, actually, so yeah, I'll do it. Yep. Why not practice it? You have, let's see, the 3, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, the major third, the 5, the 1, the 3, and the flat 7 here. And I'm just gonna, do it in a different key. It's the same shape. It's a wonderful shape. And so watch out for it. Check it out. Looper malfunction. Here we go. So I'm gonna turn the distortion on, and we are going to play the B major pentatonic over the B and the E. When the F sharp 7 comes, gonna hit some F sharp 7 chord tonage. Oh, here we go. Okay, you can hear it. All right, so practice this stuff, highlighting your 7th chords with 7-chord arpeggios, but specifically that flat 7 and major third coming home to the 1 is always going to kick the audience right in their behind. I hope you enjoyed this play, and we'll move on to our next. All right, in this play, we're going to learn about long arpeggio connectors. Now, if you haven't seen my Sultans of Swing video, number 2, again, it's in the CAGED Primer playlist. It's there, where I talk about Mark Knopfler doing these fills based off the A major arpeggio. These long arpeggios, you can put them in any place. We usually hear them in music when the vocals end, but if you're improvising, or if you write a song and you have the vocal ends and you have some time left to the chord, you can throw these in. I'm going to let you discover them. I'm actually in real time, right in front of you, going to discover 2 of them to practice. And so you need to have this kind of mindset that, you've made it this far. I don't know how far, I don't know how much time we're into the Masterclass, but you made it this far. And so, sit for a second, breathe. Again, you heard me say this once already, nobody gets on stage and does something they haven't done before. So you really want to practice this now so that when it comes time to do it, you can do it. And so let's just say I'm in a song and all of a sudden a D chord comes and I end my vocal. Well, I want to create a really nice long arpeggio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see all of my D chords first. My D's here, connects to the C shape, connects to the A shape, connects to the G shape, connects to the E shape, back to the D shape. And so I really want to practice and look at those arpeggios as I have, and I'm going to start right here on the D. Now, I swear, I'm going to figure this out in real time. And so I know that I like to kind of come down this arpeggio. Now, right there, those first 3 moves, I'm going to try and move, first 3 notes, I'm going to try and move down to my next shape, which is the G shape. Okay, that's the, all right, and I like that slide. Now I'm in the G shape. All right, I'm in this note here. And what's crazy about this is when you play like this, your fingers are going to be out of position than what you practiced. And so, here all of a sudden, like to finish my arpeggio, I have to do this with my first finger. And I like this so far. Now, I can choose to go to my G chord arpeggio here, but I want to keep moving. And so what comes before G? Well, my A shape. And let's look at the A shape arpeggio. And so, oh, yeah, it's right there. Or, I'm going to go for this guy. So I'm going to have, all right. Sorry. I love it. And I need a D chord. Oh, right here. I'm on the C shape. And then so I know my C shape arpeggio. I mean, that's nasty. That's just nasty. So if all of a sudden on D, like, you can run these giant arpeggio loops. They take practice, but that's how you want to put it together. And again, the more you practice this stuff, like, sorry, not like that. You can run through them and see them, and they start to connect better. It's great. All right, so let's just say I pick a G minor chord. I don't know why I'm going to do that. Okay, so do I want, yeah, okay, G minor chord. Okay, so a G minor chord. Let's look at all the shapes of the G minor. You have a E minor shape here, connects to the D minor shape here, connects to the C minor shape here, connects to the A minor shape here, and back to a G minor shape here. I'm going to start on the A minor shape. I'm going to like that. All right, and so let's see. On the A minor shape, I know I can go. I like those 3 notes so far. That connects to the C minor shape back here, so I'm ending on the G string. The note in the G string is here. All right, or I'm going to use my first finger because that slide to me is going to put me on position. And then there's that C minor, okay? I don't want to go here, I want to go backwards. So what connects to the C minor shape here is my D minor. Oh, good, perfect. On the string I'm on. So far I have the A minor arpeggio, A minor shape, down to the C minor shape, briefly, down to the, we're in the D minor shape. Let's see. Perfect. There was that D minor arpeggio shape, D minor shaped arpeggio. Down to the root note, let's see. Awesome. And so you can connect. Again, that was live. That was real. So if I had a song that was like F, G minor, you know, you can run that arpeggio. Beautiful stuff. You can do this with 7th chords, you can do it with major, come up with your own like 1 chord stall and try to start here and get down here. All right. That was it's a fast play, but nonetheless, you know, gluing a whole entire chord, 1 chord with a moving arpeggio or a long arpeggio. It's really beautiful. Mark Knopfler said does it a lot on his songs, so you can listen to that. And with that being said, we'll get on to our next play. All right, this play is about triads. Now, if you watch Stichmethod, you know, I have this problem with teaching the word triad because it's so zoomed in. Like I said at the beginning of this this masterclass, when you zoom in, it's like, oh my gosh, like there's so much going on. But triads are in fact the DNA and the building blocks of chords, but we're going to use our CAGED chord system to find these triads. And I want to talk about the one thing that my pet peeve about triads, the way I see them, is that when you're focusing purely on the triads for soloing, which you should never ever do, there's always a place of a scale and then chord tones, in my opinion. But when you throw in just chord tones or just triads, you kind of rip yourself out of improvisation and you get this robotic type playing. Now, but there is a place that I hear that a lot, which is in a lot of my favorite guitar players, when they're building their solo up to a peak and you're going to get back to a scale, you'll hear these like triad runs that are built off the CAGED system up into a new note or the ending. Usually it's at an ending of a solo or to a peak of a solo. So I have this chord progression. I want you to hear it. It's E minor, D, E minor, D. Now, I'm going to play a series of triads over this using the CAGED chord system. I'll show you how. So I just want to show you how I did it. These kind of triads take place on the B and E string, and so I'm going to turn my distortion off. So you need to find the chords up high in the neck, and here is your E minor chord, and here is the B and G string arpeggio piece. So these little notes pull off on the 2 notes on the high E string, and then pluck down on the B string. That's my E minor arpeggio. Now I want to move forward, so I got to find a D chord. Well, there's a D-shaped D chord here, and there's also a C-shaped C chord here, and I can see my C-shaped arpeggio. And there's my 1, there's my 3, there's my 5. You're going to put your middle finger on that B string, and you're going to pull off on the high E string, pluck down on the B string. All right, we need another E minor. Okay, so we got to go forward. Well, there's an E here. I can see my C minor shape, but here's that C minor arpeggio. There's that 1, flat 3, and 5. So I have the E minor shape, E minor chord, the C-shaped D chord, the C minor shaped E chord, E minor chord, and then I need my D chord, and that's going to be here with on the 17th fret, my A shape, and here is the note that's on the B string. Here's the next one. And on the graph, this one you can't do down here, but you can reach up to the 5 up here. right? And so there it is. So you have this like, sorry, you can, the root note here, this is the 5, this is the major third, that's the 5, this is the 1. And so you have this, and you can figure it out, but here's my E minor shaped arpeggio. Here's my C shaped arpeggio for the D chord. Here's my C minor shaped arpeggio for the E minor chord. And here is my A shaped arpeggio for the D chord. Now when you're doing that, you better be going somewhere. Because if you just do that in the middle of your solo, it's going to have no context. It really moves. You'll usually hear it like, then into the ending. And so, you know, you gotta, you can practice that, but you want to throw them towards the ends of your solos. So these little triads, they do come from the CAGED chord shapes. Anything until, you know, on the B and E string, you can see it. If I played here like a D chord, well, here's my, they're in the arpeggio shapes, right? They're always going to be there. And so the triads you can put in, but you got to be going somewhere. You got to practice them. They really rip you out right out of like Improvville, and they kind of just put in like a line that's like, oh, okay, unless you're going somewhere. And so you want to practice, you know, putting in, if you want to make this backing track, make an E minor, slow it down to a D, and just sit with those guys right there. But see those CAGED chord shapes. That's important. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this masterclass.